What's going on, boys and girls? It's your boy Lucky, back with another banger. So this is going to be my first storytime video in a while, actually, about the first time I ever tripped on Delsym. If you don't know what Delsym is basically a cough medicine containing the extended release version of DXM or dextromethorphan. This differs from other cough medicines like Robitussin because the trip is basically extended in length because it's encapsulated in this plastic shit called polystyrex. Delsym is one of the only few DXM products sold containing DXM as the only ingredient, because a lot of the shit you're gonna find at fucking store, right, is gonna contain other bullshit that you do not really want to be putting in your body at the high amounts that takes the trip on DXM. A lot of that shit is Tylenol, guaifenesin, pseudoephedrine. It's shit that's gonna end up having you fucking hacking over the toilet or in fucking your deathbed. So make sure if you're gonna recreate this shit, this experience, do not take this other bullshit in there. Delsym and Robocough are really the only two DXM products that I know off the top of my head that only really contain DXM as the only active ingredient. So take that as you will. I know you can get Robocough on Amazon and shit, but honestly, don't be doing this shit, boys. It's fucking cough syrup, right? If you're thinking of planning on robo-tripping, just make sure you stick to basic harm reduction. There's a lot of shit on YouTube. Psychonaut Wiki is a really good place to find information about a lot of substances and how to do them the safest way. Because when you're fucking around with over-the-counters, fucking drugs that you get from fucking Walmart of all places, there's a lot of preparation and shit you need to be make sure of before you do it, because that shit's it's not made to get high on. It's made to solve a fucking problem, whether that's a cough or allergies or whatever. So without further ado, let's get into the story. So this takes place about 2 years ago, right? Just another regular day. During this time of my life, I was going to this alternative school because I ended up getting kicked out of school and I had to make up a shit ton of credits that I failed those classes. So during this time, I was going about 2 hours a week, so 1 hour on one day, another hour on another day, and I only needed to attend the school twice a week, so it was nice. I just go in there, kind of fucking slack off for an hour, listen to music, do whatever. But after sitting in this class for an hour this day, I got up and left. I was walking on my way home, right, and I see this Family Dollar, and I'm like, shit, I might as well go get some bevs in there, right? So I walk in this bitch, and in the corner of my eye there's something very peculiar. There's a bottle of Delsym, right? So I had no prior experience to using Delsym before this. I had a few very, very small amount DXM trips that were honestly on accident, way a few years before this. But this is the first time that I really seen it in person, the Delsym. And actually I seen a video by Goblin about him tripping on Delsym before. So it caught my attention, right? So I walked over to the freezer section, fucking fridges or whatever, and I grabbed this Arizona. If you haven't tried Arizona, go fucking try it. It's only $1 and it's fire as fuck. But after I grabbed this drink, I went over to the medicine section and I grabbed this bottle of Delsym. At the time, I didn't know there was two sizes. There's a 3 ounce and there's a 5 ounce, but it was a 3 ounce, but it was only my first time really, so 3 ounces is more than enough to get zooted off this shit, boys. So I slipped the bottle the box into my pocket, and I walked towards the register and purchased my drink, and then I walked out the store. And I was only a few blocks away from my crib, so I just walked back. I ended up going home, and I looked up about this Delsym shit on YouTube, and I saw this. I watched the full video of Goblin's time tripping on it, and I was like, shit, I might as well just drink the whole thing. So I opened it up and I took it out the box and began to chug this shit. If you guys know anything at all about fucking Delsym, especially the orange, so there's two flavors. Orange tastes like shit, and grape is the worst. Do not ever taste. Do not do this to begin with. All right, it's fucking stupid. But I was a fucking little teenager. I don't know, I still am. But so I opened it up, took it out the box, and I began to chug this shit. And it is the most vile fucking tasting shit ever, that you will ever taste. I've tasted other cough syrups like Robitussin and shit, and there's menthol and shit in there, so it still tastes like cheeks. But the texture of Delsym is it's the way that it's made. The DXM is encapsulated in this little plastic, and it's just it tastes like you're drinking like a melted fucking popsicle, and someone just threw a whole bunch of sand in there or some bullshit. Like it's disgusting. Just thinking about it is making me like fucking. It's nasty, boys. So thankfully it was only a 3-ounce bottle, so I finished it in like just a few big gulps. It wasn't that bad. I feel like it gets worse every other time, or the longer you do shit, it like just tastes fucking worse. But I ended up just like sitting on my couch watching some YouTube. Ended up hopping on Call of Duty for a bit, and it wasn't even really till about an hour and a half after drinking this that I was to feel any of the effects, really. Uh, After about an hour and a half, I felt like a weird sensation kind of through my body. The only thing I can compare this to is like a shroom come up, or a beginning of like an MDMA come up, if you guys have experienced doing those. I started getting a bit nauseous though at this point, and the DXM nausea is no joke. You're supposed to do it without any food in your stomach, but I think I ended up coming home and eating like some chips or something, so it wasn't a good idea. But thankfully I did not throw up at any point throughout this experience, but a lot of people's experiences will differ with this, and they will fucking just start yakking the whole like whether you throw up one time, 2 times, it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen if you're doing DXM. But I ended up just watching more YouTube in my bed, and I felt like a little like giggly, like just like a nice little feeling in my body, right? Now about 30 minutes later, I was definitely feeling this shit. Everything I was watching had this like kind of surreal vibe to it. The audio of the videos I was watching felt like misplaced in like a way to explain it, like with the video and then the audio, it just didn't match up, it just didn't sync. Everything felt like it was like I was actually lagging, like fucking 2000 ping in Call of Duty type shit. So at this point of the trip, it was like maybe like an hour 45 minutes in. Basically I was like, I'm gonna listen to some music, right? Because I was watching these YouTube videos and I was getting kind of bored of just watching YouTube. So I put on this music and I put on my headphones, and it felt insane. Like it felt like I was listening to music for like the first time of my life type shit. Every part of the song like that you were listening to, you could kind of pick apart, and you could hear like every different part of the song clearly, like the bass, vocals, all that shit. So I was just listening to music, fucking vibing, fucking chilling. It's just a nice day. Look outside the window, it's all nice and bright. Kind of it felt like everything had a little more like I don't know the word for this, but everything felt like a little more meaningful, right? Like kind of like other psychedelics. And DXM isn't really a psychedelic, it's more of a dissociative, but it targets a lot of the same receptor sites in your brain that other psychoactive substances do. So it kind of like it feels like shrooms in a bit, but that's like the serotonin kind of. But it actually acts on a shit ton of different parts of your brain, and it like adrenaline receptors, dopamine, serotonin, NMDA, which is your dissociative receptor site in your brain. But back to the story. So I'm just listening to music, kind of fucking vibing, right? I'm feeling great, like I'm just feeling good, everything's good, right? And I had to piss, so I ended up getting up, open my door from my room, start walking towards the bathroom. Now, if you had any experience with DXM, walking around on this shit like the first so many times is a pain in the ass, because like your body feels like disconnected from like the movements that you try to make in your brain. It's like trying to play what's that fucking game, Co-op, where you're trying to run with like you have to press your keyboard and shit. Like you just feel like that guy. Like you can't walk in like a fucking like you can't walk and act sober doing it. But I walked out, got into the bathroom, and I was trying to piss, but this was a bit of a fucking challenge, right? Because like it wasn't coming out. I stood there for like 30 seconds, a minute maybe, and I wasn't being able to pee. So I think I waited another minute after that, and I did end up being able to pee. But like the more DXM you take, it's gonna be harder to fucking piss. Just remember that. So if you want to be standing outside trying to piss for fucking 4 hours, go ahead and do this. But honestly, that's one of the reasons you shouldn't, because it's just a pain in the ass to piss. So, one of the effects of DXM is like urinary retention and shit, and then so a lot of the actions that you try to do in your body just end up not happening. So you have to try really hard. But you know, now after this, I ended up washing my hands, walked out of the bathroom, and then I went to my room, uh, turned on my PC, and I think I was playing some Call of Duty, if I'm not mistaken, and it was really fun. Like this was like I had a lot of fun just playing Call of Duty, like more than usual, more than just being stoned or whatever. So it didn't even really feel any harder to play. Like a lot of like FPS games and shit like that. Like you need to have really good reaction times and shit, all that. But it wasn't too bad honestly, and I had a lot of fun doing this. So, you know, uh, for the first few hours, I was just listening to music and playing video games, just kind of vibing right, and just feeling all these new sensations that I hadn't really felt. I mean, yeah, I could say it felt like MDMA a little bit in the beginning, or like shrooms, but DXM is very unique in its set of effects and feelings. But yeah, and it differs a lot too with the different doses, because you could take uh, one bottle and feel this way, take two, and then you're leaving your body type shit. Like that's the magic behind this. So, but if you're planning on taking a fuck ton, just make sure you know what you're doing, right? Because it's real easy to like fall off on the wrong side where you're just not having a good time. So, but thing about DXM, like polystyrex and or Delsym or whatever the fuck, the trips last a lot longer than other types of DXM. Like people say like twice, and I've had experiences where I've drank a few bottles of Delsym and I woke up the next day after sleeping and I was even higher. Like it's no joke. So make sure if you're gonna do this, you've allocated time where you're not gonna be super busy the next day or whatever if you're taking a lot, because you're gonna be floored and you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, oh fuck, how am I gonna how am I gonna do this shit? But I didn't even really feel the peak of this experience till like maybe 4 hours in, honestly. Like that's how long this substance lasts. So uh, and I was only taking about 500 milligrams of polystyrex, which is about half the strength of the equivalent in HBr. So if you were to take a gram of DXM, which you should fucking never do, that's a stupid high amount. I mean, I've done it, but that's for a different video. But so it was about 250 milligrams of regular DXM, but I ended up making some food a little later, and it was decent, and I ended up just watching like some movies or some TV or something. Honestly, I forgot, this is so long ago, and I don't know, but it was a very memorable experience, and I always think back on this, and I try to recreate the same experience many times, and a lot of the times DXM is like hit or miss, where you'll take it and you'll just have like a kind of mid trip, like nothing really cool will come of it. But my most interesting trips, I'm definitely gonna make a few more videos about this substance and explain what those were like. But there was times, let me just say, I left my body type shit. Like just listen to music, close your eyes, and you're just going through different worlds. So I ended up passing out probably like 7-8 hours after drinking it, right? And I was still definitely feeling those effects by that time, but and the more you take, usually it's a little bit harder to fall asleep, so you got to be careful if you're trying to do something the next day and shit, because you could be up all night, you never know. This is basically my first like actual like memorable DXM experience that I've had at that point, because I ended up having like a few like smaller trips, you could say, but they were accidental, actually, like being sick and taking too much Robitussin type shit. So the first few times doing this substance were incredibly unique, and it didn't feel like anything else really like close to it at the time. Uh, 2 years later, after I've done DXM so many times, so many different experiences with it and shit, it's really not worth it for me to keep doing the substance. So I really don't really fuck with it anymore. It does have another use for being able to lower tolerance to other substances, whether that's stimulants or like opiates, and you shouldn't be doing those, but there's a lot of information that you can find on this shit. So this has been the story about the first time tripping on Delsym. If you guys enjoy this video, let me know if there's anything else like different I should do these kind of videos, and if you have any ideas or questions or anything like that, leave them down in the comments below, and I definitely want to make like a Q&A video sometime soon, just answering your guys' questions, and yeah, so, you know, I really want to get back on this YouTube grind shit. I used to do this a lot when I was a lot younger, just pumping out gaming videos and shit, but, you know, well, with all these experiences, I want to put out some harm reduction shit, and just some shit for you guys to enjoy, so keep pumping out a ton of bangers for all of y'all to fucking like and shit. So thank you for watching this video. I am Lucky, and I'm out. Deuces.